Hold on 1 second. I'm just trying to. My thing is stuck on the one. Hold on. My iPad is stuck here. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Oh, hold on 1 second, you guys and girls. I have to set up here all over again. This didn't work. My iPad has gotten stuck. And all right, so now I'm going to be talking in two different spaces and two different places. I want to welcome you in. Hello, everybody. I want to welcome everybody in, and thanks for having me on your screen for now. So, what I'm doing something a little different. I haven't been on the Facebook group in a while and post, but today is actually the 13th year anniversary of my husband's botched surgery. So I'm just coming on because I just want to fill people in. A lot of people are new to the channel and new to this whole environment. So many people, since I've last done a live, that have had medical some kind of medical mistake or a medical malpractice or something horrific has happened to them or to their loved one in a hospital setting, in a doctor's office setting, in some kind of medical setting. Thank you all so much for coming in. So, my name is Glennis. I'm on two different live streams on two different social media events because I'm just trying to kill two birds with one stone, actually, since I'm on two. So I'm going to be facing. You know what? Hold on. Let me set my tripod right. And I can just talk to everybody and answer any questions at the same time. So again, my name is Glennis, and my husband was involved in a horrific medical error 13 years ago today. I tried to see if he wanted to come on and say anything. He didn't want to. So that's fine because sometimes when you are the victim, you don't want to rehash and you don't want to keep thinking about this over and over and over. And I get it. I understand it. It was awful. So before I take you back through that horrific day, I'm going to assume that most people who are watching or are part of this Medical Moments 917 has been a person who has lost a family member or who has a family member maybe botched up in a surgery or you've been botched up in a surgery. So that's probably why you joined this group, which we appreciate. We want to let you know that this is a safe space. You can come on here, you can talk, you can ask questions. I will answer them to the best of my ability. And we're not lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. We are just patients in our case for my husband. We were just patients who just happened to go through a horrific event. And of course, whenever you do, the medical teams or team takes no responsibility for what was done wrong, even though they know that they're guilty of something. But nobody wants to take responsibility. So let's see, 13 years ago, maybe in May or June, my husband was complaining of having a pain in his side. He wasn't really sure what was going on. Didn't really hurt all the time. It was like a every now and then, but when it hurt, it was achy and it hurt for a while. So every now and then he would complain about it. He's like, I have this pain in my side. I don't know what's going on. I didn't pull anything. I didn't do anything out the norm, so I'm not sure what's going on. And after a couple of weeks of it, then it got to the point where it was starting to hurt more and more. Just say it was hurting like every 4 or 5 days. Then it got to every 3 days, then every 2 days, then every day. So I said, I just suggested, why don't you just go to the primary care and just get it looked at? Because it could be something, it could be nothing, but we all have issues with going to the doctor because sometimes you find out things you don't want to know. And, for a guy, I would say that when he had issues, medical issues, he would go to the doctor. He would make his appointment and he would go in. So going to a doctor wasn't a thing for him, but I think he just didn't want to be bothered, point blank. So eventually he did. He went to a primary care and they said, how about we just do an x-ray? We just want to make sure that everything's okay. Because sometimes they could palpitate and they can't feel anything because your issue may be deeper inside. Or just, when you get images, sorry about that, when you get images, it's just easier to be able to narrow it down to what is really going on. Just gonna put this, just putting on a little more light over there. Now I think you guys can see me better. So he went to the primary. They referred him to have an x-ray. And actually, how our primary care office is set up, the x-ray and everything is all in the same building. So you don't even have to leave. You don't have to get in your car. They scheduled him right in. Go right over right now. Here's the information. It's all digital in the computer. So he went over, and after they took the x-ray, they send it back to the primary, and they say, something's fishy. Something doesn't look right. We see some kind of growth, some kind of mass, some kind of cyst. We're really not sure. We need to do a little more digging. So they referred him to another set of doctors that can dig a little bit more deeper, kind of see what was growing inside that was causing him that intermittent pain. Long story short, he ended up having, I think he didn't get a CAT scan, but he had an MRI. They saw something that was close to the kidneys. They said that it was a mass and it needed to be removed. Because, sometimes with a mass, it can be cancerous. Sometimes it may not, but they don't know. Hello, how are you? We won't know until we get in there and look. So what I'm doing is, thank you for coming on. Before I finish my story, I'm talking about a medical negligence issue that happened with someone in my family. So I'm also looking for new subscribers. I'm looking for new followers. I'm trying to gain watch time on YouTube. So I'm going to be very transparent with that. So after he went to the specialist, they determined that they saw something. They could measure it. They could tell how big it was. And they said, you're going to have to get this removed so that we can biopsy it to see if it's cancerous. And you're going to have to get it removed because it's pressing around in the area. And if it continues to grow, it's going to be much more painful than it is. So, okay, we question no one. We go to whatever doctors and specialists were recommended to us. We go. They say we're going to recommend you to a surgeon. We don't second guess. We don't do any research. We don't look at any online activity with the surgeon to see if they have good or bad reviews. We just say whatever this doctor says, we're going to take it with a grain of salt. We're going to listen and we're going to follow through because we don't know what's going on in here and we want to get to the bottom. So he met with the surgeon. I never met him. I'm going to get that straight right now. I never met the surgeon. He met with the surgeon. They came up with a date for surgery. The surgeon gave him a little more information. And then, when you have a surgery, you have to go through other tests because they want to make sure everything is right before the surgery date. The surgeon was trying to schedule it for a certain date to get the surgery done and still have enough time to come in for a follow-up after the surgery because they were going on vacation. And if my memory serves me correct, they were going out of town. So, the vacation was somewhere. He wanted to just make sure the surgery was done. He had the follow-up, and then he could clear his conscience. He can go on out of town. As a matter of fact, he was going out of country. They were going out of the country. It was him and his wife and his family had a family trip. So we did all the stuff that you had to get done, all the paperwork, all the testing. They have to test your heart and check your blood and everything. Make sure that your body can sustain a surgery. Anybody who's had some kind of surgery will know that. All doctors have to do that. All of that came back flying colors. Still no second visit with the surgeon. So I'm at, when it's getting closer, I'm like, am I going to get to meet this person? You know, I call the doctor's office, speak clearly to his nurse or his assistant, whoever he has taken his calls, and I ask them, hey, my husband has a scheduled surgery with the surgeon, haven't met him. Am I going to get to meet him before the surgery? And they go, oh, don't worry, don't worry. If you don't meet him, office visit, we'll make sure that there's time before the surgery that you and him can talk. You can ask any questions, da 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 da. So the day of the surgery, it's supposed to be a scheduled surgery. He's supposed to be in the hospital for approximately 4 days, 3 nights, out of work for 6 weeks, returning to work, and to be able to resume his normal life. So I'll tell you what it was. It was a cyst in the retroperitoneal area. And the reason why I'm explicit and I'm explaining because somebody on this live may be a nurse, a doctor, or surgeon, so you can visualize in your head on his left side, you could visualize where the tumor was, okay? The morning of the surgery, get up, we say a couple prayers. My mom is here because we have a young daughter that was in school at the time. And I leave to go drop off my husband. Then I come back, I drop my daughter at school. Then my mom and I, that's the plan, we're going to go to the hospital. We're going to wait in the waiting room until he's released and sent to his room. Okay. So everything is going fine. We do all of that. Never, ever, ever had a chance to consult with the surgeon. By the time I got there, they said, oh, no, he's already scrubbed in and stuff like that. It's too late. You can't meet with him. But don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Da, 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 da. Okay. We're in the waiting room with a bunch of other people and waiting. Okay, they say, the surgery may take upwards of 2.5 hours just because of where it is, da 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 da. Okay, at the time, I had my little Kindle books. I have games and stuff playing, passing time. My mom loves crossword puzzles. She's doing crossword puzzles. I'm just trying to paint the picture so you guys can see what happened. So we're sitting there. I'm looking at my watch and I'm watching the watch on the wall and I'm going, his surgery was scheduled for 7:30. It's 9:30. It's 10:30. It's 10, almost 11. Maybe it went a little longer. So after 11, I get up and I go to the little desk that they have some volunteers working, and I ask, I say, hey, I'm so-and-so's wife, and I just want to check because they said his surgery might be 2 hours, but we're going on 3.5 hours. I'm not really sure what's going on. The person says, oh, don't worry, I'll go down and I'll get the update from the OR. I say, fine, put me back at ease. I'm sitting, continuing to play my game. Another maybe hour to an hour and a half go by. I get up again because I'm seeing that everybody else in the waiting room is gone. Their family members, they're gone. The nurse has come to them, got them, and took them on their merry way. Not me and my mom. And mind you, my mom is a retired nurse. Okay, so she's saying nothing, but she's just doing her crossword puzzles. Da 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 da. I go up again. I say, look, it's 4.5 hours later, and I've gotten no word. What is going on with the surgery with my husband? Okay, ma'am, just sit down, calm down, we'll check, da 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 da. And I'm calm at this point because I know nothing. I'm just assuming that everything is going on. They're still doing the surgery. Maybe they're closing them up. I don't know. I go sit down. About a half hour after that, one of the volunteers, I'll never forget, it was an older man. He probably was retired. He probably was in his 70s. He comes over to me. He asks my name, verify my name and everything. Says, so-and-so your patient. I said, your loved one. I said, yeah, that's my husband. He goes, well, what happened? What's going on? He's asking me. So I go, mister, I don't know. I've been sitting out here for 4.5 hours. No one's giving me no updates. I'm not sure what's going on. Somebody come and, no one's really coming to me and talking to me. So I'm not sure what's going on. He said, okay, I'm going to need you to come with me. So me and my mom, we get our belongings, we go with him, and he's taking us on the elevator. And he's just talking about regular things like, how you feel about this weather, here in New England. And my mind is like, okay, I don't really want to talk about it. I want to know what's going on. Why are you bringing me somewhere? And you're talking about foolishness now, but when I've been asking you 3 hours, nobody was saying something. So anyway, long story short, we get down to the consultation room. We're waiting. A guy comes in with clean scrubs, clean, white as a ghost, emotionalist, and just plops down in the chair just like this. And he looks at me And he goes, I just want to let you know, I'm Dr. So and so. I'm not going to say his name right now, but I'm Dr. So and so. And I want to let you know that your husband is a very, very sick man. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't even know if he knows what he's talking about. So I go, sick? What do you mean? Maybe you might have the wrong person, but my husband, we just came here for a routine surgery. And I don't know what's going. He goes, no, 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 no. Your husband is a very sick man. He said during the surgery, he started bleeding out uncontrollably. We had to call in vascular surgeons because he is pumping up so much blood and we can't control the bleeding. So I'm dumbfounded. Excuse me, I don't even know what to say, what to think. I'm going, what? What are you talking about? He goes, yeah. He said, think of it as like an overflowing toilet. When a toilet is plugged up and it's overflowing with all the stuff in there, and you're just trying to stop the bleeding with toilet tissue. It's getting wet. Everything you touch is getting wet. It's soaked. It's wet. It's wet. We can't stop the bleeding. He said, but I'm going to advise you to call all your friends, call all your family member, because your husband has about, I think he said 2 hours and 45 minutes or something like that to live. And he's going to be, all his blood will have left his body because his heart is pumping so fast. So, boom, that's when it hit me. Wait a minute, is this man telling me that my husband is dying? So I jump out the chair. I started screaming hysterically. I don't really remember crying. My mother probably remember more. I don't remember if I was crying, but I just remember screaming, what is going on? You're killing my husband. I want to see him. I want to go to the OR right now. Take me to him right now. I mean right now. I want to know. And I just lost it. I just was screaming. And all the offices that were all closed, business office up and down the street, up and down the hallway, up and down the street, came running in when I was on the floor screaming. And they were asking, ma'am, are you okay? What's wrong? I said, no, I am not right. My husband came in here for routine surgery. This man is telling me that he's dying. He's bleeding out. I don't know what happened. I don't even know the surgeon. I was just out of control. I'm telling you, they had to call security. They had to call security on me because I had no clue what was going on. All I know is that they was telling me that my husband had 2 hours to live. He came in for a routine surgery. What went wrong? So my mom, the surgeon kept coming back and forth because this is over his head. He can't help anymore. So he has a staff, a vascular team that's working on my husband. So the surgeon comes back in and he's trying to explain, I was doing the surgery and there was a little bit of tissue left on his vena cava. And when I went to pull the vena cava, it separated. And when it separated, it started bleeding out of control. And I couldn't control. It was nothing that I could do. So now I'm real mad, right? I'm pissed. And so I guess between me and y'all, my family, on my digital family, of course, some words came out my mouth that probably weren't very ladylike, and I still was requesting to go to the OR. It's like, I want to see him, and I want to see him now. But I didn't, because I was so hysterical and I watched so much medical TV, like on ER and stuff, the family get to go into the operating room with the patient, but that's not true. That's all TV. This is not true because it's a sterile environment, and you cannot go in. So, of course, I was not allowed to go in there. But so I had to get myself together and I had to start making phone calls because his family was waiting for me to update them on the surgery. Now I have to update them that he's dying. The surgery is over, but here's the thing. He ain't gonna make it. So y'all better get here as fast as you can. So I'm trying to call as many people. And my mother is taking care of my family. She's calling my brother, my sister-in-law, my nieces, all of that, my dad. She's taking care of all my cousins from her side. Then I'm taking care of my family on my dad's side and all my husband's friends and all my husband's family. It was horrible. I'm telling them they have to get down. I didn't even know where I was in the hospital. I said, I'm at some consultation room. I don't even know what floor. When you get here, just ask for the consultation room. That's where I am. And within minutes, my supervisor came from work. And she was crying because she knew that I told her I needed like 2 or 3 days off because my husband was having a routine surgery and I would have to pick my daughter up from school. But it went left. So she came in, she's crying. She's never even met my husband. And then people just start coming in. People were coming in. I was making those phone calls. People were in that hospital. Even people from Connecticut was there by 31 minutes. Had to call my girlfriend to pick my daughter up from school because I couldn't pick her up. It had to tell her why. She's a school teacher. She was in class. When I called her, she breaks down. She's screaming, hysterical, crying in class with her third graders. And they're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She had to run to the principal, get somebody to take over her class so she can leave and go get my daughter and her daughter. And it was like a mess. But the weird thing is, I can remember it so well, just like it was yesterday. That's what the memory, your brain is so incredible. But I'm going to tell you, when you are going through a crisis like this, make sure you write things down. And I don't know how I got the strength, but when I did get through that horrific day, when I was able to go home and take a shower and stuff, I started a notebook. I still have the notebook upstairs. I started writing down everything that happened that day, every time, every doctor, I just started writing it down. I don't know why. And for some reason, and I don't normally carry my camera, I had a camera in my pocketbook. I don't know why. It's like, that's why when they say God works in mysterious ways, God works in mysterious ways. I had a camera in my pocketbook. So I took it out after I made all the phone calls, and they were able to, they said, what we're going to do is we want to get your husband stable so that we can move him out of the OR and move him to ICU so that everybody can take turns. I think they were letting you come 2 people at a time to say goodbye because, he was dying. They said, we're going to let you come 2 people at a time, but we just got to stop this bleeding. So they were able to get the blood to stop, and they pushed him by. The thing is, the waiting room in ICU, his body wasn't there yet. So they let us go upstairs before his body. So his body came by us in a big glass window. We didn't even recognize. I was like, my dad says, hey, I think that's your husband on that stretcher. And I go, I don't think so. I mean, he had tubes everywhere. His tongue was stuck this big thing over his head. I'm gonna tell you, it was a mess. So I was the first one to go into the room. Me and my best friend. They let us go in first. So we go in the room. Like I said, I had my camera and I just started press record. So I recorded him, all hooked up to all these machines. My best friend was praying for him. She has just in her purse, she had some blessed anointing oils. She started sprinkling him with the oils and saying her blessings about, I don't know, she probably thought he was going to, we all thought he was going to die, but she was saying whatever to him, and we were saying just hang in there because my daughter was there, and we wanted to make sure my daughter get to come in and say her last goodbyes to her father. It was a mess. So I don't know if anybody has ever been in through this, but you can definitely leave comments on this live or leave comments when you come and rewatch this live. But so that was the first day. So they got him stable. Everybody came in. Family that needed to fly in, flew in. People were in Massachusetts by 5 o'clock. I made this phone call by 1:30. People got on a jet. I don't know how, but they were there. They were in that hospital to say their final goodbyes. It was awful. I had never been through anything like that, so I wasn't prepared for it. I did not see it coming. Life is short, y'all. I'm telling you, make amends with people and be on people's good side if you can, because when it happens fast. So we finally got through. It was a lot of contact between the family and the surgeon. He set up a conference room. He let everybody come in. His niece that flew in from North Carolina is a physician at an emergency room. So she was the best one to hold all the conferences and to ask the most intelligent medical questions of things that we didn't really understand. So she was the leading force in that. So she got it to dummy down to explain to us what happened, explain what's going to happen. The surgeon had to cancel his vacation. He said his wife's going to be upset because they've been planning that for years, been paying on it for years. But he said, I can't leave until I know that this patient is okay. So that's all right at the time. After it wasn't all right. But anyway, for that day, I was just do whatever you can to try to save him. Okay, so to make a long story short, I was able to go home, take a shower, get my daughter prepared for the next day of school. She ended up staying with one of my girlfriends for that week. That was on a Monday. That surgery was on a Monday. So she stayed with her. My girlfriend made sure she got back and forth to school, did her homework, made sure she had lunch, she had dinner, she stepped in. So when people are going through a crisis and they ask you what can they do to help, slap them to the back. You need friends and family that's just going to do all that asking. How can I help? If you know that a person is struggling, do the first thing that comes to your mind to help them. Bring them food, right? Offer them rides. If they have small children, say, I'm going to take the kids for the night. Let me handle this for you so that you can focus on your priority, saving your husband's or your wife's life. You don't have to ask what people need. You're a person. You know what people need. So I had a good friend that just jumped in, her and her husband. No questions asked. They didn't even ask. Only thing they asked me for is to pack my daughter's bag. And my daughter was 12 at the time, so she basically could pack her bag. I just got her a suitcase, put a bunch of uniforms in there, underwear, toiletries, and that was it. People know what you need. When you are going through a crisis, your good friends and family know. There's no need to ask you. Jump in and just do it. So those are the people I like in my corner. So then the next day was a lot of meeting with the surgeon, different doctors. They had a team they had made at the hospital because he was the number one priority of that hospital. Because they know something wasn't right with this whole thing. He ended up losing his leg. So that's how you know. That's what Medical Moments 917. Medical Moments is the medical moment that we went through on September 17th, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, September 17th. So that's where the 9 is September and the 17th is the actual day of the kerfuffle, the botched surgery. And he ended up losing the one leg. His kidneys were shutting down. He was on dialysis. His liver was shutting down. Only thing that was really pumping really good is his heart. His heart still was maintaining, but he was getting jaundice, yellow eyes, everything that's indicative of a person who's really about to die. So we went through that. He stayed in ICU for about 15 days till they got his vitals better. They end up taking one leg and they were going to almost, they had to do two surgeries. They took his leg below the knee, then they had to, it wasn't giving any blood supply, they had to take it above the knee. And then the other leg was suspect because what happened is when they stopped the clotting of all the blood that was leaving his body to get the clotting to start, they had to do a lot of clotting material and a lot of vitamin K so to stop the blood flow so that it can seal and heal, so they had to do all of that to make sure that he would be okay, that he can live and that he can make it through the surgery. So that's the long and the short of it. I'm not going to keep you on here for 2 hours just telling you all the intricate details, but that's how Medical Moments 917 started. And after we started it, I noticed that other people had medical malpractice stories, medical negligence stories. So I said, let's just form a group online where people can come, not actually do a lawsuit because we're not lawyers, we're not trained legal professionals, but where people can come and share their stories. So if you have a medical story of a loved one or of yourself, please feel free, Medical Moments 917 on Facebook. Join and share your story. So this is just a way that we all can come together and we can talk, we can share, we can find out people experiences if they were able to secure a lawyer. So that's a whole different live. I'm not going to even interest you or disinterest you right now in that because I have been talking. I've been on this for about almost a half hour. So this I can probably talk about this for 4 days. But I know that people get, just getting off from work and you have a lot of things to do. So I just wanted to kind of give you the long and the short of it. So now, bringing it forward, it's been 13 years since the surgery. My husband is doing much better. He has his prosthetic. He has his motorized wheelchair to use to get around. He's on his about third or fourth prosthetic leg because if you know anybody that have prosthetics, you do have to replace them. They're like a car. They have moving parts, and sometimes the parts just get old and worn, and the leg gets old and worn, and you're unable to use it anymore. So you have to get a new one. So he's able to do almost everything he used to. Not everything. People just assume that if you have a prosthetic, you can do everything. There's still limitations. So his life will never be the same that it was 13 years ago. But we try to press forward. We try to be blessed, not stressed. And we just try to be grateful that he's here and he's able to still um, live his life. Okay, because his life would have been taken at 49. He was 49. He hadn't even turned 50 yet. So we did a big 50th birthday for him just because, but just letting you know. So if you guys are interested and you want more information, I'll do another live. Or if you have questions about how do you secure an attorney, like I said, I'm not an attorney, but yeah, you have to. It's a special way that you have to reach out to get attorneys because getting medical malpractice attorneys is difficult because if they don't see that they can win about 200,000 off your case, they're not going to take it. It's not worth it. It's a lot of paperwork. It's more than any other kind of lawsuit. And it's hard to get each and every single page because once a hospital or a doctor's office see that you are trying to sue them, papers start to disappear. So things get real weird when you're doing a lawsuit. So my advice before I go is to make sure that you take notes of everything. If you have a camera, you take pictures of everything. If you have a video, you recorder, you video what you can. Now, of course, your video will not be allowed in the court room unless all parties that you're videotaping agree, which they're not. They're not going to agree. But the video is just more so for you to go back later and take notes because when things are going on and everything is happening so fast, it's hard to keep track of what's going on. And if you do get a lawyer, they're going to want to see chronologically everything that happened. And if you have it written down, that's even better. Okay. My other advice would be try to get as much information that you can when you're having a surgery on that surgeon, and not just from his nurse and his team. Try to see if there are any reviews online that will talk to that person's reputation. Okay, that's very important, and we didn't do that. So now we do. We research the hell out of everybody, because now we're nervous. My husband doesn't feel the same about the medical professionals, doctors, and surgeons, and so forth. And he always says he will never, ever do another surgery because now you get the PTSD behind all of this. But I just wanted to give you a feel. I wanted to go back to that day and kind of let you know what I went through because he doesn't remember half of it because your brain knows how to shut down certain processes that you go through, which is a good thing because if he could remember every detail of what he went through, he probably would be having some serious mental health issues. Okay? So if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you have comments, make sure that you follow us on this Medical Moments 917 Facebook, or you can follow me on sugar.413 on YouTube. Now, YouTube channels, subscribers, I talk about everything. I don't just have a specific, it's not just on medical moments or medical negligence and stuff like that. It's on everything. So I'm one of those channels that you go to and you're going to be flipping it to this, to that. I'm like a bunch of different subject matters. So I want to tell you that in advance so you won't just think that I'm strictly talking about medical negligence. But if you want more information, if you want me to do more videos on it, I will, but I have to know that that's what you want. I'm new on YouTube, so I am trying to get the watch hours in, and I'm also trying to get the 1,000 subscribers. So if you are following me on Facebook, please make sure to go to YouTube, sugar.413, and subscribe to the channel. So I want to thank everyone who has been in this group since we started it. I want to thank everyone for sharing their stories because I've had some people that I've interviewed. And if you want to do an interview on YouTube, the YouTube channel, and talk about your medical negligence, your medical malpractice, how difficult it is to get an attorney or your experience with an attorney, if you've had the lawsuit and you didn't win, or if you had the lawsuit and you did win, if you want to talk about any of that and you want to set up an appointment, I'll be glad to do that too, because people want to know. You'd be surprised. People are hurting in this community with this medical negligence and medical malpractice. People want to know. And a lot of times people don't even know what is the first step that they should take. What is the first thing you should do when you've been wronged by a medical professional, or your loved one was, in your words, killed or murdered by a medical professional? What is your first step? What should you do? So I'm here for that. I'm here to help you and guide you along. Okay? So like I said, I don't want to take up much of your time, but just follow me on this channel, Medical Moments 917, on Facebook, or on YouTube, sugar.413. Make sure that you subscribe. I want to thank everybody who's on here, because I can see that a lot of people are still on the YouTube channel. And remember, you can go and view this. YouTube will put it on for tomorrow. So please comment. Let me know what you thought of the video, and let me know any questions or concerns that you may have. Thank you all so much, and have a blessed day. And that's from the bottom of my heart and my husband, who's shy on camera. Bye-bye. Oh, hey, Raccoon, how are you? You're back. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate everybody who stayed on here. It's a lot. It's a lot. So hold on. Let me finish up this. You can't keep hatred in your heart either. You know, you're going to have some things that happen to you in life, and you're not going to be very happy with it, but, you know, we have to move on. We have to move on and just be grateful for what we have. So like I said, I'm not going to keep you all on. I'm not sure who's still on here, but I want to go ahead and close this one out, since we strictly were talking about the medical malpractice. But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about it, please make sure to leave it. The YouTube live will be available tomorrow, as it takes them a day to upload. So if you have anything you want to share, please let me know, and I will try to comment back to you. Thanks again. Bye-bye.